Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik from Figured Out Productions. The following video is a video of some kind, and I hope you enjoy it.
Hey guys, it's Adam here, and welcome to PlayLoad. This is all my video game pickups for the month of October 2021. And while it may not look like there's much going on here, there's actually a ton going on over here, right down there on the lower left side you can't see. I don't really get it. The last couple of months have just been like totally insane with the amount of stuff I was able to pick up from, different little adventures and things being sent in and all that. Last month I only got one package. This month I got a ton of packages that all just kind of showed up. So much so that I also got a bunch of regular stuff, and I thought, why don't we try something different? Package sandwich. We'll do some packages, then some regular stuff, then some packages, then some regular stuff. And oh, believe me when I say there's some special things at the end. However, we'll start off here because we have more packages than usual with the first segment. And I thought I would give a big shout out to the only people who sent me a package last month was a company called Toner. They were cool enough to send me a ring light, which I showed, and I'm going to be using it on live streams in the future. It just provides better lighting. After talking to them for a while, they're like, hey, your audio could also use an improvement in the live streams and your podcast, so we decided to hook you up. So that's exactly what's right here. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at it. Rip it open. Inside we have this, the Toner TC30 USB condenser microphone. So basically the deal with this is that they reached out and they were just like, yeah, your audio can use an improvement, and we have a good microphone for basically for podcast purposes as well as live stream purposes is really what I'm going to do with it. This is actually, from what I've gathered, is a very good microphone for entry-level people who are trying to get into like YouTube and making videos and recording audio and recording podcasts. I was kind of hoping that this would actually be useful for like replacing this type of audio that you hear in this video. However, this microphone is basically designed to work at about a 20 centimeter distance. That's like its ideal setup, and that wouldn't work unless I kept the microphone on the table. So in the future, going forward, my plan is to use this exclusively for live streams, podcasts, and any sort of post-production audio where like I'm playing a new Dreamcast game or whatever, and then I talk a bit about it. That will always from now on be recorded with this. So let's go ahead and open it up and take a quick look at it here. It's relatively small. It's smaller than I was expecting. Inside, they have a little card about a 2-year warranty. They also have the instruction manual, which, I mean, it's cool that they include this. Looks like they give a bunch of instructions on how to configure it on a PC, which is actually quite nice, although I guess it also works on Mac and everything. I think there's instructions because you can also use this with a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 5. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it's relatively simple stuff. But going inside, we have a couple of devices. First, we have the mic itself. This is a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. And it's got their nice little logo on it. So despite its appearance, it might look like you're supposed to talk into the side of it. You're not. You're supposed to talk directly on. And it's basically a unidirectional situation. So you just talk right into it, and that's where you get your ideal setup. But it includes a couple of devices here. This is basically 2 separate pieces, although it looks like one because this is detachable. But the bottom part here is a separate little tripod mount that you can use to put this onto a desk or wherever you're set up. You might want to consider replacing this with a boom arm, which is something you can basically mount onto your desk or whatever, and then possibly do this because typically boom arms are better at resisting any sort of like if I were to go like that, potentially the shock can get into the tripod and affect it. Although these rubber grips and everything, and the fact that it's metal should seriously reduce it. Although, despite that advice and suggestion I'm giving you, I don't intend to do that because I know I won't really need it, but it depends on the level of your setup there. But in my case, yeah, I'm going to keep that. They also include a shock mount. These are neat because they're basically just extra, like you take these rubber bands and you just kind of take the mic itself and you feed it through there. And the point of this is that it holds it in place and it kind of gives it, some shock resistance from, ambient audio. The goal of which is to just basically filter out certain ambient noises so your audio comes off cleaner. And then you can, mount it again here, which we'll do. Actually, you can also adjust the, if we loosen that up, boom, take it like that, tighten it into place just as we had before, and there you go. That's essentially all set. We can tighten that as well. And the last thing it includes here, well, actually, no, it's not the last thing it includes. It also includes a pop filter. So a pop filter, you just kind of install, you know, right through this little port here, just like that. There you go. But there you go. That's like the final setup of it. Look how simple that was. It took like 2 seconds to put that together. A child could have done that. It also includes a USB-C cable. On the back, you'll notice there's a USB-C port. That's really the only access you have to the device is that port. This particular mic doesn't have any sort of like switches on it, so no on-off switch, no adjustment setting switches, nothing like that. It's entirely reliant upon the software of your computer, which frankly is how I would do it anyway, because I think that's simple enough. It really doesn't require any sort of complication. And the only, like I said, the only interaction you have here is this USB port, which I actually really like, because most low-end mics, and even my supposedly good mic that I've had for years, has this flaw, which is that the mic is hardwired, which is a terrible idea not only on game consoles and controllers and all that, terrible idea on a microphone, because if anything goes wrong with the cable, despite the microphone itself being fine, the whole thing is now junk. Whereas with this, it's like, oh, the cable died? That's fine, it's USB-C, it's standard. I'll just swap it out and boom, our mic's back up and running again. So that's very neat. And like I said, this thing does work with the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. Again, it's the same process. You essentially just plug it in. The PS4 and the PS5 have onboard software that you can like configure and so on and so forth. And then boom, that's it. You're up and running. Big shout out to Toner on that. Let's take it like a second. Let's go listen to post-production Adam and say hear what he has to say about the future using the Toner mic.
You guys are never going to believe it, the final pickups of this video. It is absolutely crazy stuff that... You're going to see something very unique. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to see something really special.
That's crazy. If you're interested in it, I'll put a link in the description to their page. I worked out a little deal with them, by the way. Gets you 10% off. There will be a coupon code in there, so if you buy this on Amazon, you get 10% off, and it's only like 30 bucks to begin with. So thank you, Toner. But anyway, guys, let's move on. We got a few other packages here. This one, I wasn't expecting to show up at all, and I don't entirely know what it is. I just have a guess. This comes from Retro Fighters, and Retro Fighters makes, you know, cool controllers. I've done videos on some of them, but they didn't tell me they were sending me anything, so I don't really know what to expect here. So let's go ahead and take a look. Inside we have the, oh, okay, this is, oh, all right, the Brawler 64 wireless gamepad for Switch and PC. Oh, I get it. Oh, it also works, yeah, on the Nintendo Switch and PC. So there's an N64 version of this that is Bluetooth based, and you just connect it to the console. It comes with a little dongle, and you use it. I thought it was fantastic. Apparently, they made a Switch version as well as a PC, and it also works on the PC, presumably for like N64 emulation and so on and so forth. Next generation N64 controller for Switch and PC, 2.4 gigahertz technology, compatible with PC, Mac, Switch. Wireless range of over 30 feet. Featuring dual Z digital triggers, responsive analog stick. Yeah, there you go. We can take a quick look at it, I suppose. It's just the standard gray color. It doesn't seem to be any different than the other ones, but yeah, very neat. Now, personally, I don't game on PC, so to me, oh, check it out. It comes, oh, that's neat. So it comes with, that's how you connect it. It comes with a little USB dongle right there. So presumably you just plug that into either the PC, your Mac, or your Switch, and that's how it connects. That's cool, because like the, oh, and this one comes with the keychain. I guess a lot of people were upset that the previous controller didn't. That's cool. Yeah, the previous one that I did for them that was for the Switch was basically a Switch Pro controller. At least that's how the Switch interpreted it. So it didn't need a special dongle, but I guess this one, because it's not designed the same way, actually does. So yeah, that's cool. But yeah, like I said, I wasn't expecting this at all. So thank you very much to the guys over at Retro Fighters for sending that my way. And this last package, before we go on to the next section of the video. So Sega's cool. Every once in a while, they just send me stuff, but they don't, you know, they don't often tell me about it. It just kind of shows up, and then we find out together, I guess. I see bananas. That must be it. Yeah, that's, wow, what is this? Check this out, guys. Super Monkey Ball, super quality bananas, monkey approved, top bananas, product of Jungle Island. It's like a cardboard box within a cardboard box, but this is like Super Monkey Ball theme. Caution, may contain tilts. Place of origin, Jungle Island, but it's got this tape on it, which... It's too bad that it's like I kind of want to preserve this box, and I think I will, but it's this tape on it just kind of kills it a little bit. But let's cut this open and see what kind of stuff is inside. And I'm trying to be careful not to damage this box. All right, there we go. Inside we have a bunch of packing material, like green packing material, and we have look at this. This is a some sort of, oh, it's a Super Monkey Ball hat. Look at this. Mr. Mario, if you're watching, this seems like something right up your alley, man. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Neat. We have some sort of... Oh, check this out. Okay, so we got a little card that's for Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. Yo-ho, greetings from your favorite monkey gang. It's been 20 years since our first Monkey Ball adventure, which was on the GameCube, by the way. We're thrilled to be celebrating this special anniversary with our most loyal fans around the world. As a small token of our appreciation, we've collected some of our favorite crafts and goods for your personal use, all sourced straight from Jungle Island, as we get ready to roll out into Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. No banana was harmed in the making of this care package. Thank you for 20 amazing years. We hope you enjoy our new adventure. Your friends. And then it's just signed by a bunch of the characters. It also includes a Steam key for the game, so maybe I'll give that away, you know, because as I said, I don't game on PC, but I think Sega actually sent me an Xbox key for this, so maybe I can hook you guys up. We'll do something. Just look at, oh wow, look at this. So we've got banana super chips. That's cool. Super banana chips. Sorry, so those are actual monkey tested, monkey approved. See, that's the kind of thing where like. They're freeze-dried bananas. That's the kind of thing where, like, I think I would want to eat that, but it's also, like, a weird little piece of Sega promo merch, so I kind of don't. You know what I mean? Oh, wow, look at this. They included this little, like, sweet promo art. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania artwork. Look at that. And they even included a Switch copy of the game. I wasn't expecting that. Look at that. That's cool. Physical edition for the Switch. And oh, there's more stuff under here. Wow. So all this like packing material, I kind of want to keep the packing material because it kind of has that jungle vibe, which shout out to whoever put this together. Hey, there you go. They probably thought of that. There's an actual like monkey ball with, it's like a capsule toys, like a Gashapon thing. Like, ooh, Shenmue reference, of course. Collect them all. It says there's 4 of these little guys, and they're pins. So this is a pin of one of the characters, which his name is Gon, per this thing. II is the only one whose name I remembered offhand, but, you know, Gon, that's cool. And then there looks like there's a second one here that has... There you go. This one has... Oh, it has II in it. There you go. Perfect. That's the most iconic character for the game. Perfect. Very, very neat. And we have a few other things. What else we got here? We have some sort of glass jar, Banana Mania scented soy candle, hand poured on Jungle Island. Burn time 30 hours. So that's a candle that presumably smells like soy. I would hope it would smell like bananas. That would make a lot more sense, but I'm not really sure. And then some sort of plastic banana thing. I don't know what this is. And there's a stick in it. Oh, it's to make frozen bananas. Okay. At first I thought this was like just to keep a banana fresh, but no, it makes frozen bananas. I think that's what they're going for there. That's really cool. We're back. Sorry about that. So before I continue, this round of stuff is going to be from a convention I went to called Too Many Games. As you guys know, if you watch this particular show regularly, you'll notice, or if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, or Discord, which you should totally do, all that link stuff is in the description, you'll know that I tend to travel a lot. And so a lot of people have been requesting something of me, and I finally decided to do it. So I'm formally announcing it right here, right now. I'm going to be starting a completely separate travel channel. It'll be about eating and flying and checking random stuff out because I'm constantly doing that anyway. I might as well make videos about it. So as you probably are aware, starting a new YouTube channel is very, very difficult. Particularly the way YouTube does that now. So if you guys could do me a favor, even if it doesn't really, you know, interest you in particular, please, there's a link in the description. Please go to that channel and just subscribe to it. I need you to do that just so that I meet certain thresholds on that channel so that I can, you know, start doing things like a custom URL and stuff like that. I would really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed my content at all in like the nearly 13 years I've been doing it, I would seriously appreciate that help. And the same goes with liking this video, commenting on this video, and that goes for all my videos. I just appreciate it, just to get real with you for a second. Now, that said, let's move forward and talk about one such adventure. As I mentioned, I went out to too many games. I was a very informal guest this year. Very last minute, I was invited to too many games as a guest, and I got my badge and everything, and that was very nice of them to do. But I was already going to be in the Philly area anyway, and so it was just kind of cool to make the most of it. And that whole adventure was crazy. I got to do a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I worked with James Rolfe for quite some time. I helped them film and work on the launch of Rex Viper and all that. So it was just a very, very cool experience. And I also picked up a lot of stuff, as one does at a convention like Too Many Games. So naturally, we'll go through those things. The first thing I got here was a magazine. This is an issue of Megavisions. Now, Megavisions is a fan-made Sega-themed, typically Sega-themed publication. Now, in this particular case, the guys who actually run Megavision were there, and I was just chit-chatting with them for a while. And then, I picked up a copy of one of the magazines, and I was just clicking, I was just I said clicking as if physical paper has clicking. And the first thing that caught my eye was I was like, all right, any magazine that has an Amiga CD32 in it automatically has my respect. But then as I'm continuing to do exactly this move, I'm going along just like this, and I get to a point where I'm like, oh, look at that. There's Corey Marshall, my buddy. He does the voice of Ryo Hazuki in the Shenmue games. He is actually legitimately a friend of mine. And as I'm seeing that, I see this picture, which is me. I'm in this issue of this magazine. And they're like, yeah, surprise. Because they follow me on Twitter and everything. So, yeah, very, very cool. I got to be featured sort of in a magazine. Obviously, its majority is about Corey. I'm just, just in a photo. That's not really that. But there you go. I'm technically in this publication, so fancy schmancy. But yeah, if you like anything like that, Megavisions, go ahead and check them out. So thank you. They just hooked me up with an issue for free, so that was very nice of them to do. I also was wandering around, and I went to the Heritage Auctions tables, which I know they're not the most popular guys right now, but they were just giving out these free cartridge cleaning kits. And so they were, yeah, take one, go for it. So that was very nice of them to do. So yeah, this is just, you guys have seen me do videos on cleaning stuff. These are actually quite good. Think what you want about Heritage Auctions, etc., but these are just nice free little cartridge cleaning kit. And then we got some stuff I bought. Well, actually, to be fair, this was free. This is, so I went over to a table, and I was hanging out with some guys who run Premium Edition Games, which is Barry and Jeff, and so we're hanging with them, and then after talking to them for a bit, they just handed me one, and they're like, yeah, you can just have this. And I was like, really? So they were really cool about it. So let me go ahead and show it to you guys. Let me, if I can get through the packaging here. I broke the box, but it doesn't matter. This is just the actual shipping box. Inside, yeah, it's a packing slip, and then the game. So yeah, Premium Edition. This is the Pigeon Dev Games Collection for the Nintendo Switch. So this features 4 different games, all on one cart. And yeah, I for the moment anyway, I'm going to keep this sealed. I'll put a link in the description to their website if you want to check them out. But yeah, these guys are super passionate. I've known both of them for quite a few years. I've seen them at many, many cons. They're super into retro video games, and they're just legit guys now actually contributing games directly to the Nintendo Switch physically, which you gotta give them props that they had a dream. They went for it, and they actually made it happen. So I respect that. So thank you very much to those guys for hooking me up with this. And again, I'll put a link if you want to check out Premium Edition games. Funny story, though. They were like, their name is Premium Edition, and they were telling me the problem is sometimes people get them, and they're like, I ordered the Collector's Edition. This is the Premium Edition. I want the... No, it's just the name of the company. It's just the name of the company. If it says Premium Edition on it, it's just the name of the company. But yeah, check them out. Thank you very much to those guys. Also bought a bunch of stuff. So I got, well, I'm going to start here. I should have started with this pile. Obviously, I've mentioned in the past that I'm big into the OG Xbox. I'm trying to get a complete set of it. It's still quite a bit away. But, I've managed to, now that cons are kind of opening up again, I was able to chip away at it. And the good thing about OG Xbox is it's still cheap. And there's not many heavy hitters, and the heavy hitters on an OG Xbox are like $80, and I have them anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so I'm just going at it, chipping away. I got NHL 07, IHRA Motorsport Professional Drag Racing 2005. Remember this one for later. Rainbow Six Lockdown, or Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Lockdown. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Black Arrow. Outlaw Tennis. NBA Live 2002, and Spyro: A Hero's Tale. Which is funny because I'm learning more and more that people don't know Spyro ever had games on the original Xbox. As if he was just always a PlayStation character. Nope. But anyway, and hasn't been for over 20 years. But anyway, yeah, so it was just cool to chip away at some of the original Xbox. Like, I have all but 2 of the European games. I have all the Asian stuff. I have all the Australian stuff. But my American set is like not even half done. So it'll be a while on that. But hey, you know, now that cons are open again, I can start working on it. Meanwhile, I got a few other random things. I got Supercross 3D for the Atari Jaguar, just the cart. I don't have any real specific goal with the Jaguar. There's only like, if memory serves, there's only like 80 games for it, and I think I maybe have half of those. Basically, my policy with the Jaguar is if I see a game that I don't have and it's affordable, I just get it. Just because, like, you know, Jaguar stuff, you just don't see very much, and unfortunately for me anyway, now more people are getting into Jaguar, so it's harder and harder to get it. And I have really the more common half of things. So, but this one I didn't have, and this wasn't too bad, so I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it. I also picked up a Neo Geo Cd game. I have a policy where I really don't pick up Neo Geo Cd stuff outside of Japan, but since I haven't been able to go to Japan for a while because of the pandemic, and the fact that Japan's just closed anyway, I was kind of like hurting to get another one. You know, it'd be cool to get another Neo Geo Cd game, and I did it in this case because Paul, who was the dude who sold it to me, cut me a very good deal on it. I'd say he sold it to me at a Japanese price as opposed to an American price, and that game is Crossed Swords, which is supposedly one of the better games on the system, if memory serves. But you know, it's just cool to have another Neo Geo CD game. It's not a very big library. It's in my case, it's kind of like a Jaguar, where the goal is like, if it's cheap, just get it. If it's a game you don't have, just get it. I don't think I'll ever get a full set. I'm not trying to do that, but you know, it's not a big library. Just go for it. Meanwhile, I also got some GameCube stuff. My GameCube goal is actually very clear. I want every GameCube game that never came out on the original Xbox, because once you shave those off, the goal becomes much, much more reasonable. And while I have a good chunk of it, there is a good chunk that is also missing. And unfortunately, within that chunk that is missing, there are some seriously heavy hitters. So I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But I had the chance to get a few out of the way. One that I actually personally wanted the most, even though it was a stupid one on the list, is Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Now, this is stupid for a few reasons. This game was originally on the PS1, as I'm sure a lot of you know. This is actually just a port of the Dreamcast version, which I already have. So it was actually on this like subsect of my list, being like, you can get it, but it's also on the Dreamcast, so maybe it's not worth bothering with the GameCube version. But since I had all the other Resident Evil stuff, except for Code Veronica at this point, on the GameCube, I was like, just do it. So a dude had it, and he actually cut me a very good deal on it, so I was happy about that. The same guy also sold me Bomberman Jetters. Again, he cut me a good deal on it. But he also threw in this, because I wanted all three, and he cut me a very nice deal when I bought all three. Disney's Hide and Seek. Now, I'm just going to be honest, this is not my type of game at all, but it's just something I wanted because of that exact reason. I've also never seen it in person before. Like, I've seen it on lists, but I've never actually found it anywhere. So I was excited to get it, and I'm very disappointed because the disc is damaged. So I have a policy that whenever I buy a disc-based game, with pretty much no exceptions, the only exception to that really being at this point PS5, Xbox Series X, and Xbox One. I don't have a way to rip to a PC, but every other disc-based console, I even did a whole video on this, I have ways to rip it to a PC. And the reason you would do that is not piracy, it's just to make sure that every sector of the disc is not damaged. Because just because a disc will boot on your console does not actually mean the game works all the way through. Ripping it to a PC ensures that it does. So while those two passed certification, this one failed to do so, which was incredibly disappointing because it was kind of an expensive game, but you know, such is the flaw of a convention. I even had the disc resurfaced already, and it still didn't change the problem. So maybe I'll have it resurfaced again and hope for the best. But yeah, just kind of bummed about that one. But at least I have the case and the manual and stuff. So in the event that I ever find the disc again, I'll be set. Part 3. Okay, so as you can see, I told you there was a lot more packages here. This is a combination of some stuff I bought and some stuff that was sent to me. So we'll do it like mini sandwich throughout that. The first thing up here is actually something I bought, and then it's kind of hilarious because in hindsight I just remembered what this is, and so what I just said a moment ago about Neo Geo Cd stuff and wanting more, yeah, that's what this is. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. This is actually a brand new independent Neo Geo CD game. We get past that there. This is a copy of Zeno Crisis for the Neo Geo CD. Like I said, this is just something I bought straight up. I actually bought this game for the Sega Genesis and the Dreamcast. I am a Kickstarter backer, so I'm actually an NPC in this. You can save me in the game. But the thing is, this is my first time ever buying one of the indie Neo Geo CD games right away. There's only like 5 of them, and I managed to track down a couple. But this was the only one that I got right away, brand new. So very, very cool to support them on that. I did an entire video on the Dreamcast version of this. It is a very neat game. So yeah, if you're into this, you know, that concept of what it is, you should check it out. But again, you can watch that video for more information. But yeah, it was just honestly just cool to get another Neo Geo CD game. I also have a friend who I'm in competition with, but I know he ended up getting the game too, so we just kind of even right back out. But anyway, so very cool. Moving on from that though, I'll put a link in the description if you want to check that out. This pile here, you probably actually noticed, well, maybe you didn't. This is from Limited Run Games. So Limited Run Games contacted me quite a few months ago saying like they wanted to send me something and they were waiting for it to come up. And then, you know, they finally did, so they finally sent it. They sent a couple of packages and I'm not entirely certain what everything is here. They just kind of said they were just sending me some stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. This first one, I think I know what this is. Let's go ahead and cut down the line there. And inside, there it is. Move that out of the way. Yeah, there we go. This is actually a cool find for me. So this is the Sega 32X, Sega CD 32X combo reproduction of Night Trap. For those who don't know, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys know a lot about the game Night Trap, but Night Trap actually was one of the 6 games ever released for the Sega CD 32X combo. And of the other 5, I've got 5 of them were released in North America originally. Of those 5, I've had 4. The 6th one was the special one called Surgical Strike. That was the 32X CD version of that. Was only released in Brazil in a comically small number. And then it was kind of temporarily re-released for like 100 copies. I actually have 2 copies of that 100. I bought one and one was sent to me. But anyway, by the people who made it. But anyway, the only one I was missing was Night Trap. Now, Night Trap, the Sega CD 32X combo version, is quite expensive now. But hey, a Limited Run was able to make an officially licensed reproduction. And therefore, I mean, while that's obviously not the original version of it, that's a debate one can have, you know, whether or not this counts in your collection as being a complete set or not. And I'm not really here today to have that debate. I guess I am kind of saying that I'm cool with this as having that instead of the original version. But I would very openly acknowledge this is not the original print run. However, this disc does in fact work on a Sega CD with the 32X connected, and it is the entire full game, and it's not pirated. It is legitimately licensed and consented upon by all original parties. In this case, you know, the people, Digital Pictures, who owned that game, as well as Sega themselves. So, you know, there's an argument there. I'm not having it. That's like a podcast discussion. But regardless, that's what I ended up getting. It also, of course, came with a little card about that. And then they sent me another one here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Open that up. Okay. Okay, here we go. There's a bunch of stuff in this one. This is like the swag box. So there's like, first we got a keychain. We got a ton of stickers. We've got, it looks like 6 pins from Limited Run Games. And then we have more stuff underneath. We have a t-shirt. This is an XL size blue Limited Run Games t-shirt. And then we've got a few games. First and foremost, we've got Shadow of the Ninja. This is an NES reproduction game. Very cool. I'm not super familiar with this one, but it is cool. I knew they were doing reproductions of NES stuff. I just didn't know this is one of them. That's one of the cool things I like about the way they're doing it, is that they are doing officially licensed stuff. So Natsumi obviously signed off on this. And I think that that's very neat. And then the other one, the one that they had originally intended to send me was this. This is the special edition of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the complete edition. This is a Ubisoft title that's very infamous on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 because it was sold digitally and then removed from that store. And then years later, Ubisoft and Limited Run got together and they decided to do a re-release of it for PS4 and Switch. So I've always kind of, it's funny actually, I've known the guys at Limited Run Games for years, like on a first name basis. Like Doug and I can hang out at stuff, but I've never attempted to work with them in any like official capacity before. And the first time ever that they reached out to me in an official capacity was over the one and only Ubisoft game they've ever covered, which I thought was hilarious because I work with Ubisoft all the time. So I'm like, is that just a coincidence? Is that the universe coming together? Or did somebody make the call to somebody? I don't know. But either way, that was very cool the way that panned out. I actually really like this box. It's got a Sega Genesis vibe. And of course, it has that like Sega-style player 1 to 4 thing on the back. So very, very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying that game out for sure. So big shout out to Limited Run Games for all the cool stuff here. So again, I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to check this stuff out. Or I'm sure a lot of you know everything about Limited Run at this point. But regardless, I'll put a link in the description. You can check them out. This package. This is something I bought and I totally forgot about in the sense that I thought I already received it. It'll make more sense in a second. So let's open it up. This is a I'm not gonna say a new Dreamcast game because it was, but this was a little bit more delayed than I thought. So it'll make more sense as soon as I can get through the packaging here. And there we go. Open that up, and inside we've got our bubble wrap and our giant super collector's edition of Intrepid Izzy for the Sega Dreamcast. Wow, this is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So the reason I said what I just said about this is I backed this game on Kickstarter. And apparently this is the version I backed. But it was so long ago that when I got Intrepid Izzy in the mail, I showed it in PlayLoad. I did a separate video about it. It's actually a really good game. I very seriously recommend checking it out. I thought that what they sent me was what I had ordered. I had totally forgotten that I had ordered this. Turns out what they sent me was like, here's a promo copy of it. Help yourself. Have fun. But this is what I actually paid money for. So, very cool. So, I thought we'd go ahead and take a look at it. It's got this cool slipcover over it. And well, it actually says on the back what's in it. So, it comes with an art book, 2 figurines, the game, and the soundtrack. That's neat, actually, because the music in this game is pretty good, and I don't think the soundtrack was included in the regular edition now that I think about it, so that'll be neat to listen to. And, oh, that's nice. You guys saw it before I did. Then underneath, how does this open? Let's see here. Looks like magnetic cover? Yep, magnetic cover. Get that out of there. Yep, first things up is the art book. Very cool. It's a hardcover book with, yep, smells like something fresh. Ooh, look! The weird pickle that plays the the tuba or whatever. I don't know music. Yeah, there's history of the game about actually a lot of the stuff I talked about, Beats of Rage, Rush Rush Rally, as well as the Super Jelly Bean thing, and just information all about this game. Lots of cool artwork in that. That's neat. A copy of the game, which I'll actually keep this sealed because I already have it. There's no reason to open that up. I will, however, open this. This is the actual soundtrack, which is actually a separate thing. Historically, they've always kind of made a special one that had both discs in it. But in this case, they felt like separating it for whatever reason. So I'm cool with that. I'll just open that right up. No big deal. And then underneath all that is the figurines, which they're hard to get out. You know, I'm just going to leave them in there because that's ultimately where I would put them back anyway. But you can take a quick look at them there. That's her in her default costume and presumably in that other costume that she must unlock at some point. So that's really cool. But yeah, if you guys haven't checked out Intrepid Izzy and you're into the Dreamcast at all, like I said, did a whole video on the game. Go check it out. It's actually a really good game. It reminds me a lot of Astal on the Sega Saturn. I actually feel like it's... I think my exact quote was, it feels like the unrealized promise of what the Sega Saturn intended to be. And yes, I mean the Saturn, not the Dreamcast, even though obviously the game came out on the Dreamcast. That's just how it feels. And that would make more sense if you played it. But... yeah, so thank you. I mean, granted, I bought that, but thank you to the guys over at Senile Team. Now, Continuing on that path of Dreamcast stuff, we have yet another package. This actually comes from Videogames New York. Videogames New York, and full disclosure, they sent this to me for free. So if you like the Sega Dreamcast, and obviously I'm a bit of a fan of it, then this is going to be right up your alley. And I think that Dan, who runs Videogames New York, he kind of casually mentioned he threw something else weird in the box, so we'll see what that means. But here we go. Under that, we got bubble wrap. We have, what do we have here? Oh, cool. We have a, okay. Okay, this is a game, that's, wow. All right, so okay. So he sent me a new Dreamcast game. This is Alice Sisters. This is, I have not played this. This is brand new at the time of making this. And this is going to have its own whole video, so there's not much else I'm going to say about it at the moment. Ryan Soft made it. He's a buddy of mine. Very cool to see him still making games for the Dreamcast. But he also made this, like, I don't think the term would be 3D printed, but it's like a wood print thing that you, like, hold a game in. And the reason I haven't shown it to you yet is because it's custom to me. Look at that. That's really cool. Look at, and then at the end you put the game in just like that. Okay, well there you go. That's really neat. Actually, that photo originally I'm holding the Nintendo PlayStation prototype, but he changed it and he put the Dreamcast in there. That's really cool. It's too bad that Shenmue wouldn't fit in there. Otherwise, I would totally put there and just like put it back there and holding up that copy. But that's really cool. Thank you to Dan. So yeah, look forward to a video on that particular game at some point in the near future. And if you're interested in it, please check out Videogames New York. I'll put a link in the description. Part 4. Okay, so we have a bunch of just assorted items from various adventures around the country. And again, if you have interest in those type of videos, again, please, I'm serious, please go try and subscribe to that channel about flying and stuff. It may not be your thing, but I just appreciate the support. Also, maybe you will like it, just travel vlogs, if you will. So I went all over the place. You know, I was in New York, I was in New Jersey, I was in Philly. I was there a couple of times, actually. I was in California. I went down to Atlanta. I actually got this t-shirt at the World of Coke. And my buddy, Rob Thanos, the evil, bad Rob Thanos, we went up to Montreal, Canada. So in all these adventures, various things came of it. Ironically, the first thing didn't. It was from a different trip. A couple months ago, I went out to Seattle, and I went to a thing called the Renton Game Swap with some of the Metal Jesus crews there. I talked about it at the time. One of the things I picked up that was not in that video was this. An iPod. Now, that, not necessarily gaming related, but I think you guys just appreciate the story. So this was sitting there exactly this way, which is the iPod with this OtterBox case for $10. Now, I thought that was really cheap for an iPod, even a broken one. So I asked the guy, like, what's the deal? He's like, hard drive's dead. So he's like, I'm just getting rid of it. So I was like, all right, I gave the guy $10 and I moved on. And now I can't fix something like this, but my buddy Jesse, who lives out in the San Francisco area, Modesto specifically, can. And so I was with him at the time, and I was like, here, take this, fix this. And he was like, all right. So he hung on to it. And basically what he did was he took it apart, he took out the dead hard drive, he replaced it with a little adapter and an SD card. And now she lives. It's actually very cool what happened to iPods. Like, I don't like Apple products at all. Like, I really, really don't. The only thing I own Apple-wise is like this, another iPod, and my Apple Pippin. I'm not a fan of Apple stuff. I think they make garbage, to be completely honest with you. However, the cool thing about iPods now is that while they obviously don't make them anymore, there's a ton of them out there, and you can basically take them and just use them the way Cubans use cars. And I say, like, actual Cuba. I've been there. They told me this to my face. They take cars. You see those old cars? Underneath is just like boat parts and lawnmower parts and stuff holding it together. It's kind of the same with iPods. You can take these apart and put modern stuff in them and just use the shell as like a husk. And then you can have an iPod that's better than any iPod that ever existed. So this one is way more Windows friendly, like connected. You can do a much easier time with dragging and dropping. The software on it's more up to date. And of course the SD card in here is bigger than the hard drive ever was. So it can essentially hold an infinite supply of music, which is great. What's cool about this particular case too is that, like, this is an OtterBox case. It's like freaking indestructible. It's got like the thing on, I can put it on a belt or whatever. And it also has a headphone jack pass-through, which is very nice. I just kept the sticker on just so you guys can see I only paid $10 for this. Very, very cool. And now I'm just happy to have it because I know people are like, dude, I own a phone. I don't need that. That's true, you do own a phone, and so do I. We all do. You don't need to point that out. But the thing is, this has this rare thing called a headphone jack. Crazy. I don't need to use any Bluetooth stuff, which is useless on planes anyway, and I fly a lot. No, I'm actually very seriously happy about this because it's just something I don't like. I like to reduce the amount of tasks my phone has to do, and an iPod, being able to entertain myself without having anything to do with that is great. Also, the battery life on this thing is ridiculous because the battery was designed to power up a hard drive. Now it's powering an SD card, so it runs forever. It's great. And my old one would only, because it's an actual legit iPod, would only charge on Apple approved crap, which really was annoying. This will charge on anything with a USB port. It's great. So basically you took all the Apple garbage out of an iPod and you made it better. It's great. So I just want to give you a shout out to Jesse there, and I'm just happy about that pickup, even though it's not video game related. That said, video games themselves. So I did a video that I wish more of you guys had checked out. I was with the evil Rob Thanos, and we went up to Montreal, and we went game hunting in like every store we could within a day. This is the only pickup I showed, actually. On our way up there, we had to stop, just for gas and stuff like that. And we found, as we were driving down the road, I just saw this. I was like, oh, dude, video games. I saw this little store. And so we went in, Dave's Flea Market, somewhere like near the Canadian border on the New York side. And we wandered around. Rob got some good stuff. I only picked up one thing, but it was a killer thing to get, which was an Xbox game, IHRA Drag Racing Sportsman Edition. Now, that's why I said remember that other one. The other game, there's a couple of these IHRA drag racing games on the original Xbox, like the other one I showed already, which was a common. This, believe it or not, the Sportsman Edition one is actually one of the quote-unquote heavy hitters for the original Xbox. This is a surprisingly uncommon game. And by Xbox standards, it's one of the more expensive ones, raking it at nearly $50. For the original Xbox, that's actually quite a bit. Dave's Flea Market, this was $8. So I was really happy about that because that was one of those like, yes, type of finds, because that's the type of place where like every single game is flat priced the same, every single movie flat priced the same. But yeah, that was cool to get. Now, in Montreal itself, I only got 4 things, which was these 4 Xbox 360 games. The first I got was Battle Fantasia. I've actually seen this around before, but not super often. And so it's a fighting game made by the guys who made Guilty Gear, and it was surprisingly cheap. So I was like, oh yeah, definitely getting that. This one I got per the recommendation of one evil Rob Thanos. He's like, this is a very low print run game that nobody's really seemed to ever talk about or hear about. So he's like, mark my words, eventually that's going to be one of those, like, do you own that one? Because that's one of the impossible ones. Now, interestingly, as he pointed that out, I've never actually seen this game in the US. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, it certainly does, but I've never seen it. We found it multiple times in Canada, so it's possible it just had a more predominant release there. I don't really know. But either way, I picked it up. I'm going to save that one for last. I also got this game called Morph X. The dude, I bought both of these at the same store. And the guy, basically, he said, okay, that's like 10, just give me like 15 for the pair. Like he knocked money off without me doing anything. I didn't have to say anything. He just cut me a deal. Didn't know me, didn't watch my channels, nothing like that. He was just a good guy who owns a cool store. We gave him a huge shout out in that video, so I still recommend it. That was like a great store. But yeah, Morph X, he just threw that in essentially. And then the one I wanted the most, and I was very surprised to see, was Avatar the Game, based on the James Cameron movie. Now, this is very clearly the Canadian version because it's very dual language. It has a lot of French all over it. However, this is a game I'd actually been looking for quite some time, and I had seen it a few times, but it was always in like the 30 to 40 range, and I was like, I really don't want to pay that for what is probably not that great of a game. And now that there's more Avatar movies finally coming, and Ubisoft is in fact doing a new Avatar game, I'm like, this one's probably going to get harder and harder to find. So the store we went into where I saw this, I think it was only like 15 Canadian, which is like 12 US or whatever, and I was like, I could do that. I could do that all day. I don't really like having this much French on it, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. So there you go, Avatar the Game. So cool 360 pickups. And like I said, I rarely ever see this one. So yeah, it was nice to get that out of the way. Now, fast forward to some time later. I ended up going out to Sacramento and to pick up something very special, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. While I was out there, though, I met up with GG Retro Gaming. Now, GG Retro Gaming I've talked about in the past. He's a guy who runs an online store. I'll put a link in the description. You can check him out. There's a coupon code there, too, if you want to buy anything. He either sends me stuff sometimes, or like if I see him, he just usually gives me something. In this case, I just text him. I'm like, "Yo, dog, I'm on your turf," and he was like, "Well, come by, hang out for a bit." And so I did. He also told me in advance, like, you know, if you're ever around and you're gonna, you know, need any discs cleaned, bring them. So I did. I actually brought some out there. And he was cool enough, as you can see in this footage, he was cool enough to actually clean them up for me, which was very nice of him to do. He didn't have to do that, but they do that as a service. So if you ever want to, you know, mail discs in and get them repaired or attempt to repair them, by all means. I did an entire video about this place and that specific disc repair machine. Essentially, your odds are like 50-50 a lot of the time where the disc is going to get repaired. And then we'll get back to that in a bit. But while I was there, he was also cool enough to just be like, "Yo, here, just take this." And he gave me this. This is Tenchu Z for the Xbox 360. I didn't have this game. He was just cool enough to just give it to me. So, you know, he's a good guy. Cleans my disc for free. Hooks me up with a free game. So I'm putting a link in the description. Please check him out. Super nice dude. And actually, I'm going to swap this slightly because this would make more sense canonically. As I just said, I got a bunch of discs repaired. So I went out there with like a few GameCube discs, one of which I already mentioned before, and a few others that I have that are just not functional. Unfortunately, none of those were saved in that process, but I had a couple of PS1 and PS2 discs that he was able to save. The first one up is a game called Goldeneye, or well, not Gold. I'm just so used to seeing Pierce Brosnan and 007 and calling it Goldeneye. This is 007, The World Is Not Enough for the PS1. I actually got this for free a few years ago at Mo GameCon Jr., and it's not in the best of shape, but it was kind of whatever. It was free. But as I said, I ripped my discs to a PC to make sure they work, and this disc was not rippable. It was damaged, so I didn't really know what to do with it. But I just got it resurfaced, and now it ripped. So the disc is actually fully saved and operational again, so that was nice. But the bigger save of that whole thing was a few years ago, I was in Guam. Yes, Guam. You know, I love Guam. I was out there, and they had this retro game store, which unfortunately no longer exists. At the time, that store was just giving up on being a retro game store. They were switching into something else. So they were like purging stuff. So they had crazy deals on some things. And one of the things I picked up for cheap was Godzilla Unleashed for the PlayStation 2. This is a late release PS2 game that really only had this version and the Wii version, and it's like those other Godzilla fighting games that were on the original Xbox and the GameCube and PS2, but this one didn't have a release other than the Wii and the PS2 version. It's like a $50 to $60 game now. They only wanted like $5 or $10 for it, whatever it was at the time. And I looked at it, and I was like, man, it's complete. And I looked at the disc, and the disc was like, oh, God. Like, there's some serious scratches on that. But for that cheap price, I was like, I'm just gonna risk it. So I took it back. I tried to rip it. Nothing. And then I had it resurfaced once. Still didn't work. But so this was now the second time the disc was resurfaced. And, as you probably predicted, it ripped successfully. The disc is saved, and so that is that's playing the long game on something like that. But yeah, I have like this little section of discs where I'm like, I have it, but it doesn't work, and let's see if I can get it resurfaced later. And so he was cool enough to help me at least save these two, which was really nice. So again, huge shout out to GG Retro Gaming. Please check him out. Link in the description. And then the only other stuff I got while on that particular trip when I was out there, my buddy Jesse and we decided to hit up a couple of stores and see if we could find anything. I got two things. One was just an Xbox 360 game. This is History's Civil War Secret Missions. I remember the previous Civil War by History Channel being hilariously terrible, so I was kind of hoping to relive just, hey, look how, you know, that's one of those, like, it's so awful that it's amazing type of games. So I'm kind of hoping this is very similar. Talk about like one of your weirdest FPSs ever. I mean, think Call of Duty, but horribly produced, and your guns are muskets, and they reload in real time type of thing. And so it's just faster, just run around in melee, and then people make these bad sound effects. It was great. I don't know if this is anything like that, but I'm looking forward to checking it out. And the other thing is I got a Goodwill pickup. And I've actually left it in the Goodwill bag just to show it to you. $7, and it was odd. What it is I noticed at first it's just an Ethernet cable, right? And I was like, that's no big deal. But the other thing that's packaged with it is the original Xbox had controllers by Logitech that were wireless. Now I've seen the controllers a million times, but I've never seen the dongle for it. At least not, you know, cheap. Well, this Goodwill had just the dongle. I looked through it, like, that is the original Xbox Logitech dongle. Not the controller. I don't have the controllers. But now I have the dongle, which is actually far harder to find than the controllers. The controllers I've seen many, many times. So now I'll be on the lookout for those controllers if I can. But yeah, in theory anyway, original Xbox wireless controllers. I'm told that the Logitech ones were actually pretty good. Hence that dongle is expensive, and people tend to like lose this part of it. So very cool to get it. Why it was bundled with an Ethernet cable, I don't know. Ask Goodwill. I got an email from a guy. I don't know if he would want me to use his real name, so his user profile is Saturn HST. He reached out to me and he's like, "Hey man, I know you've wanted this thing for like a really long time. I actually have 2 of them, and I'm willing to sell one to you for, let's just say, a very reasonable price." And so we did the deal, and he shipped it, and it was here like a day later. It was very efficient. So the first thing we have, this is your first clue, is a Sega Saturn game. A very special looking one, but it's very customized. And then we have a controller, very similar to a Sega Saturn controller, very similar. And then underneath we have the pièce de résistance. We have what looks like a Sega Saturn. Looks like the Samsung Saturn. Yes, I said Samsung. Now, it may look like a Sega Saturn, but that's actually not what this is. Long story short, this is the version of the console that was released in South Korea. I'm going to do an entire video on this at some point. Man, this thing, he made it sound like it was all beat up and in horrible shape. It's like basically flawless. This is great. So basically, the story with this is there was a law in South Korea that prevented Japanese companies from doing business there and selling things there. So there was a way around it, which was if you found a Korean company to take possession of it and distribute it themselves and rebrand it, you could do it. Thus, this is an officially produced version of the Sega Saturn that doesn't say Sega on it anywhere. It was made and created by Samsung. I actually have a game for it. I have Virtua on that says Samsung Saturn on it. And it was actually the same dude who hooked me up with that particular copy of the game. He had actually sent it to me at some point. So what are these other little things? What we have here is the controller for it that also says Samsung on it. It is the officially licensed, officially created South Korean version of the console with the official controller, which has a very long cable. And he also threw in a game. Now, this is actually not that special according to him. This is Virtua Fighter Remix. Although he claims that the case here, he puts Samsung Saturn all over it, but that's just custom art decal. It's actually just the Japanese version of it. He just threw that in as a bonus to prove that it worked and everything. It's just a neat little thing. But yeah, imagine being a guy who has 2 Samsung Saturns, so you end up hooking up, somebody on YouTube with one. But like I said, I did buy this, but he cut me an unbelievable deal on it, dude. This has been one of my chase figures for a long time. It was like this and the FM Towns Marty, which is now apparently my #1. But, dude, this is really cool. For those wondering, it is just fundamentally a Japanese Sega Saturn, region coding wise, but wow. This is so neat. It's going to hit me more as we sit here like, dude, I'm actually holding this. Like, I have a friend who's an American who lives in South Korea, and he goes to Japan a lot. My buddy Fox, I've mentioned him many times throughout the years on this channel. He's very good at hunting stuff down. When he goes to Japan, he's like, oh, I found this obscure thing. I found that obscure thing. He lives in South Korea, and I've been like, dude, find this. And he's like, they don't exist anymore. He's like, there's a big cultural difference. The Japanese, they hold on to stuff. Koreans, not so much. They have a tendency to just purge stuff. So it's actually a safe bet. There's more of these floating around the U.S. than there are in South Korea at this point, based on everything I've been told. And look it up. I think there's only, at the time I make this video, there's only one on eBay. And let's just put it this way. I didn't pay anywhere near what is being asked for that. Man, this is so cool. I'm just so excited. All right, but I'm just going to sit there on that forever if I don't. Now, the last thing I have to show you, believe it or not, tops this. How crazy is that? Are you guys ready? Are you ready? You're about to see something. You're about to see something super special, super unique, that you likely will never see anywhere else. Oh, look at that. It's only the Sega Pluto. Yes, the Sega Pluto was a revision of the Sega Saturn done by Sega. This is a prototype. Only 6 of these were ever made, 4 of which were destroyed. So there's only 2 left on Earth. The other one was sold like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago for $84,000 through the aforementioned Heritage Auctions, this being the other privately owned one. Now, before you start thinking like, dude, what? No, I don't own this. That the cops are not coming to get me. You hear the sirens. They're not coming to get me. I didn't steal this or anything. This is not my property. Actually, my buddy who owns this, his name is Roger. Sorry about the sirens. I swear they're not coming for me. My buddy owns this. He was the one who got it. I've done videos on this thing. There's more videos coming, which you should probably expect since it's just sitting here on my table. Yeah, he bought this years ago at a flea market for $3, and nobody knew what it was. He didn't know what it was. It just kind of sat in his possession for a very long time. But again, I'll have whole videos on it. But it's cool to at least take temporary custody. And here's something that no one has ever seen. I'm doing this. I am the first person to ever do this. Despite the cops trying to stop me, this is about to happen. You're going to see the Sega Pluto next to the Samsung Saturn. That has never before in the history of the human species ever occurred. Cops, seriously, do you have that much of a problem with this? Apparently they do. But I swear to you, I didn't really steal it. But there you go, guys. And I think we left a disc in it from last time. Yeah, that's an NHL game. But look at that. Look at that! So stay tuned, because I will have way more content on the Sega Pluto in the future. Also, as an announcement here, I got permission from Roger. He's the owner of this. This is going to be making the rounds at a few conventions I'm going to be guesting at. The first one is Pinball Expo in Chicago. However, by the time majority of you see this video, that convention will have come and gone. That will be its official debut. It will be on display for people to see. There will be a game running on it. Ben Heck and I, and mostly, when I say I, mostly just Ben, did all the work to restore this thing. There wasn't that much to do, but he did it. It'll be there. It'll also be at Kansas City Retro in December. I will be a guest there. I'll be bringing it with me. Same deal. It'll be on display. People can see it. And then the same thing will happen like a week later in Sacramento at Sac Gamer Expo, which I will also be a guest at. But at that time, it will be returned back to Roger and be hidden away again. So if you're anywhere near, hopefully you saw this, if you were on Patreon, you saw this early enough that you could go to this convention in Chicago and see the Pluto. Or if you're anywhere near Kansas City, or if you're anywhere near Sacramento and you want to see the Sega Pluto, again, there are only 2 of these on Earth. That's it. If you're anywhere near those things and you want to see it running, that's your chance. After that, it may go back into a vault and not be seen for quite some time. So there it is, guys. The Sega Pluto prototype. Do you know how uncomfortable it is to hold this thing? I mean, like I said, the last one sold for $84,000. This one could be potentially, now with the pandemic and everything and the way retro stuff is, this could be well over a $100,000 machine, knowing it's the only other one in the world. And I'm just sitting here holding it. It feels so bizarre. But next to the Samsung Saturn, no less. Look at that. Look at that. That is, you will never again see this image anywhere in the world. Sega Saturn fans, rejoice. Anyway, guys, that'll pretty much do it. I want to please encourage you to check out my new channel about flying and eating. That's literally what it's called, where I go on all these adventures of doing that type of thing. It's not a big gaming thing, but I would really appreciate the support over there. Just a simple subscribe would really mean a lot. I want to thank everybody who helped make this possible. Obviously, thanks Roger for just being... That's how cool Roger is, that he trusted me with this. Like, I don't know if I'd be cool enough to do that in reverse. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'd let people borrow the Samsung Saturn. It's not worth anywhere near this. But, hey, that's Roger. He's an awesome guy. Thanks to Saturn HST for the nice deal on this. Thank you to the people at Too Many Games. Thank you to my buddy Dave down in Atlanta for driving me around there. That's a whole video, by the way. Thank you to the guys at Toner for the new mic. That was awesome. Thank you to Sega for that promotional package for Super Monkey Ball. Thank you to Retro Fighters. Thank you to Video Games New York. Thank you to Limited Run Games. Thank you to them. Thank you to everybody. Like, this was a crazy episode with the amount of stuff in there. I'm wondering if this is going to calm down now soon, but a lot of the stuff in this video you saw will have new videos, and man, there's going to be a lot of content happening. So please follow me on this, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the new channel, which, by the way, the new channel will not affect this channel at all. It's not like I'm going to stop making videos here or anything like that. It's just new content, but totally different type of content. Please follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, all those things. Hit up the Patreon if you can. I appreciate that as always. Again, if you were on Patreon, you would have known this was in Chicago for you to visit at any time, but you didn't know because you weren't on Patreon. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all later.